everyone, I'm Margaret and welcome to Deliciously Sweet and Savory. Today I'm going to show you how to make Ropa Vieja. This is one of the national dishes of Cuba that's made by shredding beef and flavored with a plethora of vegetables and seasonings. There are some technical aspects to making this dish, but it's actually quite simple to make and incredibly delicious when done right. So let's get started. For this recipe, you need about 3 pounds of beef shank. If you want the Ropa Vieja to be very traditional, then use flank steak. I have difficulties finding flank steak at my grocery store and found that beef shank works perfectly for this dish. Something like chuck steak would work as well. You'll also need crushed tomato, cooking wine, red pepper, onion, garlic powder, cumin, salt, saffron, onion powder, olive oil, vegetable oil, beef broth, and lemon. The beef broth will be made in the process of doing the first step of the cooking process for the beef, so you don't need to buy beef broth separately. First, take a large pot and fill it with 10 to 12 cups of water. Place the beef in the pot and add a sprinkle of salt and garlic powder. However, don't over-season, as we are going to use the beef broth later on, and it's better to leave it as natural as possible. Now bring the pot to a boil on high heat. Once boiling, let boil for 7 minutes, then reduce the heat to medium and let cook for 2.5 hours or until the beef is fork tender, meaning the fork should easily poke through the meat. You'll even see some separation of the meat, like it's shredding. If not, let it cook for an additional 10 to 30 minutes depending on how firm the beef feels. Once the meat is fork tender, remove the beef from the pot and reserve the broth for later. Then take the beef and separate it from the bones and cartilage and shred the meat using 2 forks. The meat should be incredibly tender and shred easily with very little effort. When all of your meat is shredded, collect the rest of the ingredients you need for the Ropa Vieja. First, finely chop the onions and 2/3 of the red pepper in a food processor or with a knife. Then finally slice the remaining red pepper into 1-inch pieces about 1/8 inch thick. Now we can begin to make the Ropa Vieja. In a large pot, put 2 tablespoons of olive oil and heat on high heat. Then add the onions to the pot and saute for 1 minute, stirring occasionally. Next, add the red pepper and saute for 1 to 2 minutes or until the onions are translucent. Now add in the shredded beef and mix with the onions and peppers and saute for 1 to 2 minutes. Then add the cooking wine to deglaze the pan and mix for 30 seconds. Next, add the crushed tomato and 1.5 cups of the beef broth and mix thoroughly. Then add the saffron, garlic powder, onion powder, cumin, and salt and mix thoroughly. Reduce the heat to medium, then cover the pot and let cook for 20 minutes. But make sure you stir occasionally. If necessary, add in 1/2 cup of the beef broth 10 minutes into the cooking process if the peppers are firm and the meat looks too dry. Then continue to cook. After cooking for 20 to 25 minutes, the pepper should be tender, most of the fluid should have evaporated, and the sauce should have thickened. At this point, remove the meat from the pot and clean and dry the pot so that you can do the last step of the cooking process. Add enough vegetable oil to cover the bottom of the pot and so that the oil is at least 1/4 of an inch deep. Now heat the oil on high and use a piece of meat to check if the oil is hot enough. If you see bubbles, the oil is ready. Take spoonfuls of the meat and lay it across the bottom of the pot and let cook for 1 to 2 minutes. Then flip the meat over, spread it across the bottom of the pot, and let cook for 1 to 2 minutes. Continue to do this until the meat is well browned and there is a good distribution of brown to unbrowned meat. Lastly, add the lemon juice and mix the meat thoroughly. Then the meat is ready to serve. There are several ways to make Ropa Vieja, and you can serve the meat as is without frying the meat, like this. However, the frying step and browning the meat intensifies the flavors of the Ropa Vieja and definitely takes it to another level. This is one of the ways my Abuela makes this dish, and the extra step definitely makes a difference in the flavors of the dish in an amazing way. The combination of the tender shredded meat with a highly condensed thick sauce and plethora of seasonings integrate together perfectly to create a wonderfully robust flavor that pairs well with rice. Ropa Vieja is one of my favorite dishes because the meat is extremely tender and the taste is absolutely amazing. It's also not too difficult to make, and you'll have broth left over that you can use to make a soup or something else. So definitely consider giving this recipe a try. For more recipes like this one, visit my website, which also has the written recipes and ingredient amounts. You can also follow my channel. I'd also like to take a moment to thank my patrons for their support. If you'd like to become a patron to support my channel, visit my Patreon page. Also, if there are any recipes, Cuban or otherwise, that you'd like to see, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and see you soon with another recipe.